I've been able to help 80 men achieve results that look like this. If you're just starting out on your fat loss transformation and have a rough understanding but aren't quite clear cut on where to start, I'm going to give you the 5 principles we use to get the results that we do. Now, the very first one, and we'll jump straight into this, is when you start off with your diet, like anything else in life, needs to be progressive. Your deficit needs to have room to progress downwards in order for you to keep dropping body fat. The metabolism is a very, very clever thing. It will adapt to whatever you put it on. This is why most people will go to 1800 calories. It'll work for a little bit until it doesn't. And then you've got nowhere to really go from it. Even though 1800 calories is a low amount of food for most males, your body will just still adapt to it, and then it will still stop dropping body fat, and you'll still hold on to it and not get the result you want. You would think, just go that low, suffer it, and you'll just burn all the body fat away. But in reality, it just doesn't work like that. So when you set out on your fat loss, no matter how much body fat you are carrying, don't start in too much of a deficit. Start just below maintenance, keep your food nice and high, and start with some formal cardio. This is going to create the demand of using and eating a good amount of food whilst also burning through a good amount of food with cardio steps and your gym sessions. Then, when progress starts to stall 2 to 3 weeks later on the plan that you're on, you can then turn one of those dials. Ideally, you push some more cardio. If not, you then pull from food. But the point of the matter is, you've got plenty of tools in your box to keep playing. You can either decrease food, increase cardio, increase steps, increase the intensity of cardio later on down the line, but you don't want to go too heavy with the intensity, and I'll come on to that after. The point of the matter is, you want to be able to continuously make steps. Don't think too low early is going to allow you to burn off a lot of body fat. It's not. It's the case of always being able to make a change and an adaptation to the plan that's going to allow you to make a drop off. This is what people will not tell you. So as counterintuitive as it sounds, start higher with both your food and fairly lower with your output and cardio. Next point I'll mention is keep your cardio as light as you can and do it daily. For the same reason, going too low on food doesn't work to drop body fat consistently for a long period of time, turning your dial up really high with intense cardio also has the same effect. You would think just by doing more, you would end up burning through a lot more body fat quicker. But in reality, it's more the fact of you being able to do something daily for a long period of time, which is going to help drop off, rather than trying to burn through a hell of an amount in a short space of time. Because what that's going to do is you're going to accumulate a lot of fatigue. When you accumulate a lot of fatigue and or your appetite will increase, your challenge is then to manage the appetite while still trying to do this highly fatiguing cardio. So you're trying to run hot with this furnace, it's creating a massive hunger spike whilst you're also trying to be in a calorie deficit. You see how the formula doesn't really fit together. Whereas the approach we take to get the results that we do is we'll start on light cardio. To put this in very specific terms, is where you keep your heart rate 120 to 130 and you're doing it on something where your feet essentially are not slapping against the floor all the time. So something like a bike where you're just spinning off. Something like an incline treadmill walk where you're not running and slapping against the floor, you're just doing usual heel strikes. Or something like a cross trainer, which again is kind of like running on clouds. So you can run those daily. And the fact that you can do them daily will always burn those calories, therefore will always create that negative energy balance. Rather than trying to do a load in the beginning, mad high like intensity with like high rocks or outside running sprints. For being a general fit athlete, sure, those are great. For dropping body fat, those are not great, especially over the long term. The next thing I will say is meal timing is what's going to keep muscle. As soon as you go into a deficit or a cut, you think, I'm going to be weaker in the gym just because you've gone into a deficit, when that's not really the reality. If you time your feeding in and around the workout, you're still eating the same in and around the workout as you would have done before when you're at maintenance or in a surplus. The fact that you go in with full glycogen stores because you've eaten the right amount of carbohydrates means that you will still be able to train to a good standard and a good amount. It just means later on the back end of the day, when you haven't got as much food, you will be a bit hungrier. Or earlier in the morning, because you're pushing your meals back and fasting, so you've got more food for later, you'll be a bit hungrier then. But away from the workouts, you will be hungrier. Around the workouts should be exactly the same, and your carbohydrates around the workouts should be maintained. Therefore, you maintain your training in the gym, therefore you maintain the muscle mass that you've got. The art of what we do on this channel is body recomposition. Drop off body fat whilst at the very least maintain, but for most of you, we end up getting you stronger, therefore we end up building muscle with this approach. Time your meals is mission critical in order for a successful fat loss. And a lot of you, I think, need to be told, do it exactly like this rather than do it just like get it in when you see fit. So if you work in any form of office job and you don't train until lunchtime, you're going to fast in the morning. If you work in construction, I'd say the opposite then. Eat something like quickly digesting, like fruit, before you train, before your construction job in the morning, big meal after the session, and then you're going to get your meals in whilst you're doing your construction, because technically your NEAT, your non-activity exercise thermogenesis, would be higher anyway, so you're going to need fuel around that. But then towards the back end of the day, you completely taper your meals off because you want to be getting to bed early so you can get up and do the same again. And again, if you train right after work and work office job or even construction, you're then going to need to push your meals further back into the day. So timing your meals is actually very, very important. Obviously, the first and most important factor is that you're in a calorie deficit. The next important factor is that you're hitting your right macros. And the next factor is then your meal timing. On macros, what I will tell you is most people will not. Carbs are critical. Do not just pull carbs rapidly, willy-nilly, because they are going to keep your energy up. You're already eating less than you are burning, therefore you're in a negative energy balance, therefore energy will be less than usual. So don't put your carbs, the fueling, the burning factor, down low as well. When you need to make a change, because you're not going to be dieting forever, I would actually say pull from fats a little bit first. The reason for this is you're never going to end up on zero fat. Unless you literally just drank water and only ate bananas, you're never going to end up on zero fat within your diet. Your diet will always have some form of fats, and it's never going to be low until you get right to the very end anyway. But if we can keep your carbs high, you can keep your training performance high. You can eat all the protein in the world. It doesn't fucking matter. The only reason you will build and maintain muscle is because of the external stimulus and load you put on your body. It's like if I made you carry a 80 kilo cow for 3 miles every day, your body would adapt to that load and to that distance. If I make the cow starve and it's now a 60 kilo cow, your body, and that's the only training you do, your body will regress the amount of muscle it needs to carry it, because the body doesn't really want to hold a lot of muscle, but it will hold it if it's a case of being in absolute pain for a duration of time. This is why you go into the gym, you're at homeostasis, you go into the gym, you start training, you enter into the alarm phase. The body's like, what the fuck is going on here? There's loads of this external stress on my body. It then goes into a resistance phase. It goes above the homeostasis line to a point we call supercompensation, and then it'll taper back off as it recovers. The supercompensation bit is the bit you get to make gains, because the body is smart and it doesn't want to feel this level of pain before. So it will adapt. Again, as we always say, the body will adapt to whatever you do to it. That is how you get the gain there. So we need to always create the need and the demand through training in the gym to give your body a reason to hold that much amount of muscle on your bones. How do we do this? Well, we don't go into the gym flat as a pancake with minimal carbs, because you're not going to be able to train that efficiently. So we always keep carbs high. Protein is absolutely mission critical. Of course it is. It is a very, very important macronutrient, but carbs is a very close second to that in the specific context of dropping body fat and building muscle. The last point I will give you, and this is the one weapon that no one uses, and people don't use this weapon because most of you have your routine in the bin, or you don't even have a routine. You're just kind of like going throughout your day and just doing things off the fly. It's like, cool, I got to work, and oh shit, I need to go do this thing now, and all right, let's try to get some steps in here, and now it's 20 past 8, but let's go to the gym, and then I've still got one meal left and I need to prep for tomorrow, and your routine's all in the bin. The weapon that no one's using is 8 hours of full sleep. Like if you sleep for 8 hours, you're going to wake up in the morning fresher, ready to withstand another day of calorie deficit, high output, prepping meals, doing all the things you need to. Getting six-pack abs is not inherently hard in terms of what you need to do, but doing them consistently daily is where the challenge comes in. And doing them consistently daily without other things creeping up and you losing your focus of what you should do, that's where the true challenge comes in. And it comes in because A, you're not well rested, and B, you're cuffing it. If you set a set routine out to do, wake up at a certain time, hydrate steps, work at this time, train at this time, cardio at this time, last bit of steps at this time, food prep at this time, and then back in bed for another 8 hours, you'd find this an absolute breeze. But a lot of you don't have a routine, and then because you don't have a routine, sleep is always the first thing to suffer, because it's like, well, it's a big portion of my day anyway, so I'll just shave a few of those hours down to get a few more bits in, and do that for long enough and you'll just not make progress, because you'll be in that much of a sleep deprivation for that amount of time. Your appetite for sticking to the plan will be so limited. Your willpower will drastically decrease and you just won't stick to it. So it's kind of a dual point. It's the secret weapon is having a daily routine that you follow to religiously, like we used to in the military, and it's making sure within that you recover and you sleep. Like, it's not as like sexy to say in the modern day. It's not like I'm telling you to go out and be an absolute beast. I'm telling you to literally lie down and rest. And that's why people don't really want to do it. But trust me when I say, if you're keen to get a very good result, you will take this part of the transformation very, very seriously. So they're the 5 critical points we use to get results that you've seen at the start of the video. If you want to come inside the Gorilla Platoon, you want us to get these results for you and be another one of our success stories, then there'll be a link in the description. Other than that, because we turn up daily, I'll see you tomorrow.